All right, folks, today, whenever you happen to be watching this, we are witnessing the ultimate betrayal, not just from the Federal Reserve, but from the very corporations that used to serve us dinner. That's right, guys. The $1,400 stimulus checks that millions of Americans were counting on vanished, gone, pulled right out from under you. And so while retirees were left wondering how they'll afford groceries and medication, the Federal Reserve is cutting backroom deals that fuel Wall Street and crush Main Street. But it doesn't stop there, because right now, one of America's most iconic family restaurants, Cracker Barrel, is collapsing before our very eyes. Empty tables, empty shelves, empty parking lots, employees walking away with just $13 a night, all while their woke CEO cashes in millions of dollars and brags about a $700 million rebrand that nobody asked for. Well, folks, this is betrayal on two fronts. Washington stealing your stimulus and corporate elites destroying community jobs. And here's a kicker. The same Fed says no to your $1,400 stimulus check is pumping inflation into overdrive. And so the same corporate execs who claim that they're fighting for diversity and fairness, or they're leaving black waitresses in tears because they can't feed their families. So folks, ask yourself this: who's really winning here? Because it's not you, it's not the workers, and it's not the seniors. It's the elites at the top. They're cashing in while America crumbles. But stick with me, guys, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why the Fed really killed these checks, how President Trump is calling out these disasters head on, and the shocking proof that restaurants all across America are literally emptying out in real time. And trust me, once you see these numbers, you're never going to look at the Fed or your favorite restaurants the same way again. So, guys, Donald Trump, he's in charge right now. Joe Biden got booted out, but don't think for a second that his disastrous policies and the Federal Reserve games are done with him, even though he's no longer in office. Because what we're dealing with today is a double betrayal. On the one side, Washington and the Fed dangling stimulus checks in front of desperate Americans only to snatch them away. But on the other side, a woke corporate empire like Cracker Barrel selling out its own workers and leaving families with empty pockets. Now, let me ask you, if you thought that things were getting better in this country, you're about to see how they've actually gotten worse, okay? Like, worse in your wallet, worse in your community, worse in the very restaurants that you grew up eating at. And it's all coming down to one word: betrayal. Now, I want to talk about these vanishing $1,400 stimulus checks. Now, just weeks ago, the Senior Citizens League was pushing very hard for a one-time payment. They said retirees stuck with rising grocery bills, soaring medication costs, and higher energy bills deserve relief. Americans got hopeful. People thought, hey, finally, someone is listening. Finally, we might see a check. But what happened? Nothing. Millions were counting on that money. And just like that, it's gone, vanished into thin air. Now, Trump himself floated tariff rebate checks. Senator Josh Hawley went to bat for $600 rebate checks per adult and per child. These were not crazy ideas. These were real proposals. But here we are at the end of August, and what have you actually received? Nothing. I mean, that's the betrayal, folks. And so here's the situation. They raised the hopes for seniors who are already struggling just to pay for bread and milk, only to turn around and slam the door shut. That's the kind of cruelty that kind of shakes a nation to its core, is it not? And so the big question is, why would they do that? Why are these checks floated, promised, and then suddenly yanked away? Like, what changed? Well, the answer is sitting at the Federal Reserve. And wait until you hear what they just admitted, because it tells you everything about who they really work for. Now, let me ask you something. Why do so many people think that they have to choose between saving money, keeping their doctor, or getting more benefits? That's a false choice. But too many seniors accept it just because no one ever told them the truth. Well, here's the reality. The right plan should give you all three. You shouldn't have to compromise, okay? This is why I partner with Chapter. Their Medicaid team or their Medicare team starts by listening. They ask the right questions to uncover what matters the most to you. Now, they also They search every plan in the country. There's like 24,000 different plans. I didn't even realize how many plans are out. There's like 24,000 plans that are out there, and they search every single plan in the country to match you with the one that actually fits your life. Now, our viewers, they're telling me the same thing. I thought I had to sacrifice. I didn't. Mark King, he said it felt like talking to a family member who cared more about his needs than the insurance company's bottom line. So let me ask you, if you could have lower costs, keep your doctors, and unlock some extra benefits at the same time on your Medicare, doesn't it make sense? This is why most people are already calling the number on the bottom of your screen right now. Phone number is 909-563-8279, or you can visit them on the web at askchapter.org/Ron. I've left a link down below with a pinned comment. So why did those $1,400 checks vanish? One reason, folks, the Federal Reserve. So just last week, the Fed practically admitted what they're about to do. They're signaling a rate cut in September, 25 basis points to start, maybe another 25 or 50 points before the year ends. So now you might be thinking, wait, isn't that supposed to help us? No. Let me be crystal clear about this. This is not about helping you folks. It's about helping Wall Street. Because here's the dirty little secret. The rate cuts are inflationary, and the Fed knows that. If they let a round of $1,400 stimulus checks hit at the same time as a rate cut, that's called an inflation bomb. Prices would shoot higher, groceries get more expensive, gas climbs, seniors get crushed on fixed incomes, and that's why the checks disappeared. Not because they couldn't do it, but because they chose to protect the banks instead of protecting you. So here we are, guys. The Fed chose Wall Street relief over Main Street survival. And the people who suffer the most, seniors on Social Security, families living paycheck to paycheck, retirees who thought help was finally on the way. And so that kind of leads us right into the second betrayal: empty wallets, empty promises. Now think about it, guys. Seniors are probably sitting at home waiting for stimulus that never came. Meanwhile, Cracker Barrel employees are standing in half-empty restaurants waiting for customers that never show up. Both groups were promised help. Both were told, hey, don't worry, we got your back. And both were abandoned. So you got waitresses walking out of a shift with just $13 in tips. You got seniors cutting pills in half because they can't afford their prescriptions. Different settings, same story. The elites make promises. The people at the bottom, they're paying the price. And folks, we're only scratching the surface here, because when you see what Cracker Barrel CEO actually did with $700 million of your money, wow. And how employees are blowing the whistle on what's really happening behind the kitchen doors, you're going to understand exactly why this betrayal is so much bigger than just a check or a restaurant. So let me go ahead and get into this, okay? Because what's happening at Cracker Barrel, this is nothing short of like corporate vandalism. Their CEO, Julie Fleesmo, she basically bragged about spending $700 million on a so-called rebrand. She promised investors this would evolve the brand and delight guests. What did it really do, though? It emptied out the dining rooms. It tanked the stock price, and it left workers with scraps. So I'm talking about waitresses walking out of a full night shift with $13 in tips. Think about that. Would you work a whole night shift for $13 in tips? Restaurants that used to be packed at dinner time, they're now sitting completely empty. Parking lots are barren. Chairs flipped over during what should be peak hours. This isn't just a bad quarter. This is a collapse, guys. So here's the kicker. Investors warned them about this over and over. They begged the board not to go through with it. They said, hey, this is obviously folly. But the board ignored every warning. They didn't care. They pushed ahead with the rebrand anyway. And so now it's the workers and the customers who are paying the price. And while employees are struggling to put food on the table, the same executives are patting themselves on the back with diversity slogans. Go to their website. You're going to see it. Be bold. They claim that they're cultivating Black leadership. They claim that they're empowering women, Latinos, LGBTQ, and neurodiverse employees. Sounds noble, right? But here's the reality. That same Black waitress who went viral talking about her shift is literally crying because she can't make rent. That's the outcome of their equity. The elites at the top, They're getting their glowing headlines, their fat salaries, their huge bonuses, and new contracts. The workers at the bottom, though, they're getting empty tables, empty wallets, and empty promises. This is the perfect picture of corporate hypocrisy. They use DEI as a shield, while the very people who they claim to lift up are the ones that are getting crushed. And here's the truth. Wokeness doesn't build. It only destroys. And folks, this is where it gets explosive, because when President Trump himself steps into the fight, you're going to see exactly how much power he still has to turn the tide. And of course, the question becomes, can Trump's common sense solutions save these institutions, or will the elite keep dragging America into the ground? Well, here's where the story, it takes a wild turn, because President Trump himself has stepped into the fight. When Cracker Barrel's collapse hit the headlines, Trump didn't hold back. He called for the firing of the CEO and demanded the company admit its mistake, bring back the old logo, and restore what made Cracker Barrel great in the first place. And you want to know, you want to know the craziest part about all this? The moment Trump said that, the stock price actually went up. It rallied. Think about that. This stock has been in free fall for years, down 60% in just 5 years. But one statement from Trump, and suddenly there's life again. That tells you everything you need to hear, guys. Investors don't trust the board. They don't trust the woke CEO, but they do trust Trump's common sense approach. And so it's not just Cracker Barrel. Remember, Trump's tariff rebate checks are still on the table. He knows Americans are hurting, and he laid out a way to send relief back to the people, funded by the tariffs on foreign nations. But what's standing in the way? It's the same elites at the Fed. It's the same elites in corporate boardrooms dragging their feet, protecting themselves while leaving you high and dry. So this kind of brings us to the bigger picture, the bigger betrayal. The vanished $1,400 checks, that was betrayal of American seniors. Okay, the collapse of Cracker Barrel, that's betrayal of America's workers and families. Now, in both cases, the pattern's pretty much the same. The elites profit while ordinary Americans lose. And folks, this isn't just about one stimulus check. It's not just about one restaurant chain. This is about whether America is going to run for you or if it's going to be run for them. Because right now, the message from the elites is rather clear. They get the power, they get the perks, and you get the crumbs. And so if you think that that's unsustainable, then just wait, guys, because it gets even worse. When families cannot afford food, when workers cannot survive a shift, and when seniors are betrayed by their own government, that's when the system itself starts to crack. Now, drop a fail in the comment down below if you think that the system has already failed. But here's the thing. President Trump is exposing all of it. He's calling it out. But the fight is far from over. In fact, the question is, will his solutions be allowed to save America, or will the same people who betrayed you do it once again? So let's bring it on home. All right. We just witnessed the ultimate double betrayal. The $1,400 stimulus checks vanished. The Fed, who chose Wall Street over Main Street, seniors, families, workers completely abandoned. And at the very same time, Cracker Barrel, one of the most beloved restaurants in America, is on life support because of woke executives who cared more about slogans and rebrands than about their own employees. Empty wallets, empty shelves, empty restaurants, and elites laughing all the way to the bank, cashing their big bonus checks. So now here's the truth. If you feel betrayed by the Fed, if you feel betrayed by these CEOs, if you feel betrayed by the very people who were supposed to look out for you, you're not alone. Millions of Americans are waking up to the exact same reality right now. This is why I want you to do 3 things. First, drop a comment down below. Do you think President Trump's plan to fire these CEOs and bring back tariff rebate checks can save America? Or do you think that the elites will sabotage him once again? Second, I want you to share this video with your friends and with your family because they need to see the truth. And third, don't go anywhere because YouTube believes that the next video popping up on your screen right now, this is the one that you're really going to enjoy, and it connects directly to what we just exposed. Click that video, keep watching, and stay informed because this fight, it's just getting started. Like, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.